What's going on YouTube? This is Quinn, that snazzy iPhone guy, and this is the video review of the Phosphor e-ink watch from phosphorwatches.com. Now this was sent for review. My particular model is $185, but depending on what options you get, whether it be leather, a polyurethane band, a stainless steel band, it just options vary, but it goes from $150 to $205. Also, you're going to want to stick around to the end of the video because there is something in store that you can get. Now, as we pop this bad boy open, you are going to see, of course, the watch, which has been removed for review purposes, but you're going to find your artificial arm on which the watch sits. Nice felt lining. You're going to find some literature, information, warranty, manual, all that good stuff in here. That's pretty much all you're going to find in the box, but I thought I'd mention it because it is a very high-end, jewelry-looking oriented box, so there you go. As we move on to the watch itself, it runs on an e-ink technology, and this is good for three reasons, really. Number one, it's extremely low power consumption, even though LCD is very, very low power and is much less than that of manual movements. The ones that still use battery, most of them have moved to solar power or time movement like Rolex and, whatever. But the quartz movements use much more power than regular LCDs, but these use even less power than LCDs. And the reason that's good is you don't have to replace the battery as often. Second, it has an extremely high contrast and is very visible in sunlight. That's one of the reasons with LCD. That's one of the problems with LCD watches is there's not a very good contrast ratio, and sometimes in the sun, like your cell phone, you're going to have to put your hand over it to read it. Not a big deal, but this e-ink technology is pretty much viewable everywhere. In harsh sunlight and harsh fluorescent light, as which we have here, you can even see the most minute of times, and it is pretty cool that they have that super high-end optical display. And the third reason it's cool is it's very, very visible in all, it's visible in all lighting situations, but it's very high density. I want to say high pixel density, which isn't correct, but as you can see, it is not looking like your typical watch. It looks like printed paper, and that's, of course, the purpose of e-ink, and it's what you're going to find in the Amazon Kindle, the Barnes & Noble Nook, and other book readers. But the reason this is cool is it looks really, really unusual. It looks as though there's printed paper on the watch, and I can't tell you how many times people have asked me, is that actually a watch? Because the screen, seriously, is unlike anything you've ever seen before. Even having owned a Barnes & Noble Nook, this just looks so unusual and very chic and very cool looking. Now, I've actually garnered more compliments and questions about this watch than I would have if I wore a Rolex around. It's a very cool looking, unique watch that is definitely going to get noticed by people. And even though it has kind of a geeky basis to it, it will pretty much look good on everyone. It's by no means a geeky watch, and it will look good for businessmen, all that other good stuff. This little orange trimming on the band is a little bit casual, but you can get away with it if you try. Of course, on the front, we're going to see the Phosphor logo. You'll have this matte stainless steel finish. You're going to have tempered glass with the e-ink display, which is curved below it. On the side, you're going to have two buttons, and I'll get into the buttons and their functions in a minute. The side does have this fingerprintier metal. It's not my favorite. I wish they would have gone with matte all the way around, but you can't complain too much. And then on the bottom, you'll see the Phosphor logo, all stainless steel case back, and then you're going to see water resistant up to 50 meters. Now, of course, waterproof is pretty dang cool. Water resistant and waterproof come pretty much hand in hand. They don't advocate it as a waterproof, underwater watch, but it will work just fine. And obviously with the leather band, that's probably not going to be something you are going to want to do because leather doesn't play too nicely with water. However, if you have the polyurethane model and or the stainless steel model, that's an excellent alternative and an excellent option to have on pretty relatively inexpensive watch. Now, as we look at the band itself, this is the leather model. It retails for $185. It's genuine leather, has the Phosphor logo right there, has this little slider which allows you to fasten the loose end on the band. It's a very soft feeling band. I wasn't at all ever irritated by it. It does have this dual clasping mechanism, which I dislike pretty greatly. It looks kind of punk rocker to me. I don't know. I just wish they would have done single, but it's grown on me and it's not as big of a deal as I thought it would be. You don't look like a total doucher wearing it. So as we move on to the watch itself, you're going to find that the e-ink display offers some pretty high contrast ratio, but also some pretty intuitive menus. Now, the right button, all that does is it changes white on black to black on white. You can choose whatever you like. I like white on black personally, however, and as again, it's personal preference, and you can change it on any screen at any time with this button. This is also used if you hold it to set it to turn the beeper on and off and a couple other things like that. If you press the right or the left button, that will cycle the different screens, and there's 4 of them. There was the original digital clock, which you saw. This is, no, excuse me, the digital clock, which you see here. If you press it again, this is going to be your date clock. 12:20 is the date, December 20th, and there's a little bit of an icon that has a calendar look to it so that you can see, oh, it's not actually 12:20 p.m. It is, in fact, the date. Now, if you press it one more time, you're going to see the alarm function. The alarm is pretty not miraculous. It's your typical setting. It's not the fastest way to set alarms. Definitely not as cool as my Citizen Quartz watch, but it's not a bad way to set the alarm. You get that cheesy kind of you will with pretty much any digital watch or even analog watch in some cases. And so, it's not an extremely loud an alarm, and it sounds a little bit feminine, but no, obviously, and for most people, you're not going to set this, but it is cool that it is included. If we cycle one more time, this is my preferred time viewing watch, and it's just because it's very unusual looking. There's the opening of the display. There's a circle, and whatever the opening is, it's the hour. So as we can see, it's 7:07 p.m. There is no date on screen, which is a little bit disappointing. Maybe if they could have put it down here at the bottom, that would have been cool. But as you can see, and this is where the e-ink shines through, is there's this extremely high detail to the watch itself. As you can see, just in between the numbers is very, very visible, and it it's extremely high detail you can't get with LCD digital watches. Now, as you can see, there's a little bit of remnant. Actually, there isn't, because I just recently refreshed the display. But what happens when e-ink works is it kind of fills the ink back in. I don't know exactly how the technology works. They're little tiny capsules or little cells, but what happens is it essentially fills these little cells up back with ink, and after a couple minutes, it starts to kind of blend together. If this were turn to a 9, it'd try and fill it back in, but it can't really do it. So what it does every 15 minutes is it cycles a refresh, and all a refresh looks like is this, but rather than going to white, it would go back to black, and this essentially starts all over so that you do get a pure paper looking look again that hasn't been drawn on and filled in. But I like how it does it every 15 minutes. I wish you could set maybe the option, say do it every 5 minutes or every minute. Obviously, a refresh takes a little bit more power, but the fact that the back is user removable and the battery is just a regular standard cell battery is pretty cool. As for it being on the wrist, I've found this watch to be very sleek, very sexy looking. It's very modern and high. It's kind of a high fashion oriented watch. It's pretty casual. I wouldn't want to wear this to a business meeting or a business interview, but it looks cool, and I like the orange trim a lot around the band. Of course, you just tighten it however you want, stick it in the clasp, and then you can do the leather one if you so choose. I don't really care for that, but there you go. The watch itself is very, very tight fitting, however, well, obviously depending on how tight you set it, but it retains its position well. There are several settings, making your wrist pretty much impossibly small. So even from the biggest wristed people to the smallest wristed people, you're going to get a very good looking and very well fitting watch. So that's cool. Now, as we move around here, you do get this lower compartment view a little bit. Again, it probably depends on how much fat you have sitting on your arm. Since there's not a lot there for me, you're going to be able to see kind of the bulbous keel there. However, all in all, it's a very sexy looking watch. It is a great watch for geeks. However, by no means is it a geeky looking watch, but I really like it. It's been a cool watch for me. There you can see what I was talking about. It will show up. As you can see right there in between there, it's kind of filled that in. There's a little bit of those white lines. They're really like almost imaginary. Oh, there we can see by the 1. It tried to refill it. You can see the remnants of the 0. Not a big deal, but it is a little bit hard to read. But the fact that it refreshes every 15 minutes is pretty cool. Now, here's the best part about the Phosphor watch. You can win one. Phosphor did include an additional watch for giveaway. It's brand new, has never been used, still has the plastic coating on it, has the tags on it, everything. Pretty cool. This is a $185 watch, and it's very cool that Phosphor sent it. Like I said, brand new, and it can be yours. All you need to do to win is paste a comment below. That's all you need to do. You don't need to say, hey, I want this watch or whatever. Just comment and you're entered to win. 1 week from now, I will post the winners in one of my videos, and maybe I'll even make a separate video for it. As for the snazzy gift miss giveaway. Things are getting really hectic in my life, but I will get to that, and we'll continue those giveaways even though Christmas will be technically over. So this is Quinn. Thanks so much for watching. The Phosphor e-ink watch in summation is really, really cool. I've got turned heads about it. People love it, and I really like it as well. For 185 bucks, it's a superb watch, and you can even get one for 150. You can see how red my hands are. It's really dry in this city. And that's pretty much all I have to tell you. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe, rate, and comment. And as always, stay snazzy. See you later, folks. So what you're going to find on the logo is a watch. And then, what am I?